Hello, I am here. Are you here? Hello! Having a little bit of trouble here right now trying to get people who are on the Regal channel who have been watching the Super Hobbit event today over here. So I am in both chat rooms right now. And you hang on. Too much technology all at once. I don't see anybody in the chat on Ustream, but there are a bunch over on the Regal page on Torrent Live. So let's see if that works. Everybody come over here. I've posted the link over there, so hopefully people will start showing up. Seems like people are starting to show up here, so that's good. Hello, hello, we can start now. Hi, yay. Sorry for the rocky start there. Temple, you might need to put a space there before your nickname. We'll get it. Okay, people seem to be appearing and disappearing. I stole the One Ring. You're phasing in and out of existence here. Okay. All right. I think we're getting the hang of it now. Hello. Hi, everybody. I am sorry for the rocky start there. Thank you for coming over. And I hope you were watching the Super Hobbit event that was happening today with Quick Beam. That was a lot of fun, wasn't it? And everybody is figuring everything out now. To me, Stargate Geek, you are looking purple. But okay. Okay, as we're all settling in, let's go over some of the normal stuff that we do here on Torn Book Club. Excuse me. The first is that we are still in National Novel Writing Month, NaNoWriMo. Will actually appear on the screen. And now we're all here. So it's time for we're still in the middle of NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month. And I don't know who here is participating. I have not been, unfortunately. I've been working on this show and all this other stuff so much, but we're coming to the end of it. We've only got about a week left in it, and so if you're still doing it, I hope you are working hard. I've tried myself a few times, never quite got to the end of it, but it's still a good thing. still a fun thing, and I'm constantly trying to write anyway, so having but it's nice to have a little bit of a deadline. Yes, National Novel Writing Month is still going. It's going through the end of November. And if anybody is doing it, please please keep at it and do your best and fight hard and write on. And also, our our book of the month is still Darkling by K.M. Rice, which I believe you may have already picked up, if not already. You should. We're likely going to have the author, K.M. Rice, on the show next week to discuss her book with us. And it'll be a good show. She's very personable, and is Cliff still on?
And we've got sound out. You know, as Cliff says, there's some jiggery pokery amongst us, and you know we're watching on our mobile phones. You can watch us on YouTube live, and you can watch us at theonering.net/live on the Regal Cinema's YouTube channel at YouTube.
Okay. So
Regal Movies.
Looks like they're still going on over there, so that's fun.
You know, we've got TheOneRing.net has been doing line parties for the last 13 years, and one of our marquee line parties that we've had for every single movie has been at the Regal Cinemas in Irvine. And
so let me just kill the sound over here, and I apologize for all the craziness going on here. We seem to have two conflicting shows going on now. Well, that's good, Temple, that you've got a lot of questions for Keely. I'm sure she'll be very happy to answer them. And also, if you're not aware, it is now available in print with all the pretty words on pages now. And it's a very nice print version. And I've posted the link for this on our Facebook page before, but I'll do it again so that you are sure to have it. And she has also said that she will be taking orders for autograph copies. So you might want to do that. So what is going on? Yes. Too many things happening. I'm trying to monitor the other live show, but I really shouldn't. I should just focus on my show, shouldn't I? Yes. Okay. So, moving on from Darkling, read it. I'm also going to talk briefly about yeah, the sound is weird. I had to shut my sound down too, at least for Justin's show. So our Rewrite Tolkien contest is also coming to a close. We only have a few days left on it. Actually, the deadline for it is tomorrow. And it is The Hobbit in the style of J.K. Rowling. So if you do that, do it soon. We've gotten a lot of really good entries so far. And I do recommend, if you have any ideas, jot them down, send them in, do it now. Like I said, the deadline for Rewrite Tolkien for this month is Oh, hello. We have more people. We have the deadline for Rewrite Tolkien is, of course, um, tomorrow at noon. And so try to get your entries in. We've been getting a lot of really good entries this month. And next week, we will be presenting the winner and the two runners up. And we will be reading the winner of the grand prize winner here live on the show, along with discussions on Darkling with KM Rice, uh, and all that other fun stuff. And of course, there is this little thing happening next week. It's called the world premiere of The Desolation of Smaug, which is actually happening the day after our show here. And Keely and Feely will be broadcasting from the red carpet on Torn Live. And they're gonna be great. They're gonna do a great job, and it'll be fun to watch. I will be there. I will be out in the crowd amongst fans. Um, and also next week, for those of you who don't know, I do live in Los Angeles, and we are. I've been working really hard over the last week to put together a little gathering for fans the day before the world premiere. And so I don't have any fun new graphics on the show this week because of that, and I do apologize for that. Normally I try to prepare some good graphics for everybody, but unfortunately I just didn't have time this week. So we're just going to have to push forward, and you're just going to have to look at my face the whole time. Sorry. So, now that we've done all of our normal housekeeping stuff, and yes, lady who wrote the Viking Lord is here with us, and I know I didn't reply to your email. I did get it, and thank you very much for all your information on it, and I am looking forward to reading it when it comes out on Amazon. So, as I said last week, the discussion topic for this week is influential female writers, because last week I was doing a show on influential writers and began to realize that just about all of them were were men. There weren't any women on the list, and that was not fair and that was not right. And so I want to focus on some of the female writers, and this is where I have to admit that I am not as well versed in influential female writers in sci-fi and fantasy. That doesn't mean I've never read anything by them. Of course, I am a huge Harry Potter fan and a huge Hunger Games fan, so of course I have read all of those. But as far as like some of the classics go, like Ursula K. Le Guin or Octavia Butler or people like that, I sadly have not read anything by them, and I want to remedy that. I was hoping to do some research to bring some stuff with me, but again, because I was spending so much time last week putting together this last-minute party for ringers for next week, I didn't have much time to do some research, so I'm just going to go off of what I know, and if anybody wants to chime in on anything, please do so. So, the first one who I feel I should talk about, just because her work is best known as one of the great classics of horror, and that is, of course, Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein. And yes, it's true, Temple. Octavia Butler is doubly interesting because she is a black author, and there is a lack of black female authors in sci-fi and fantasy, and there are a number of her books. I've read the synopses for, and they sound really interesting. Like, I really want to dive into some of those. And I've heard her speak before, and she's very well spoken, and she's very intelligent. And yeah, so anyway, I was talking about Mary Shelley and Frankenstein, because that's a horror classic up there with Dracula and stories like that. It's a seminal work everybody knows. And what's more fascinating about Frankenstein than, I would say, Dracula, because while Dracula is a classic, um, it's written in the style of a collection of journal entries and newspaper clippings, and mostly told from the perspective of men, and mostly told in this very cold, callous way, with perspective shifting with every chapter, um, and with and also, when it comes down to it, I hate to say this, but Dracula in the book is not a very interesting villain. He doesn't show up for most of it. He isn't in a lot of it. It's mostly people talking about him. Um, have I read Loki's Wolves by K.L. Armstrong? I have not. But you said one of my favorite words there, Loki. So I'm definitely interested in that. And not just because of the Marvel movies. I thought Loki has been a, a Norse god who has fascinated me for a very long time. So I haven't read that book, I haven't heard of it, but I'm definitely going to look it up as soon as we're done here. Oh, sorry, gotta get my coffee. Um, but so while Dracula is a classic, it's not really the most interesting book I've ever read. Frankenstein, on the other hand, is a far more interesting book, because it really is this exploration of the human god complex and of evolution, and the characterization of the monster, which is sort of not the greatest term to describe it, because the monster is very much a human who was not he wasn't evil. He was confused. He didn't understand the world, and Dr. Frankenstein, rather than nurturing him and helping him to grow, instead cast him out. But in spite of that, the monster was still able to find a way to survive and to grow, but was still confused, and this scared Dr. Frankenstein to the point where he felt he needed to hunt the monster down. Now, there are other circumstances that involved Dr. Frankenstein basically wanting revenge against the monster, and I won't get into that in case you haven't read it or seen a movie or seen the incredible play that was done with Benedict Cumberbatch and Johnny Lee Miller. And yes, I agree that Frankenstein's monster is more of a misunderstood hero than the villain of the piece. It's very true. I would say if there is a villain of the piece at all, it's Dr. Frankenstein, because he doesn't change. He never feels any sympathy for the monster. He never accepts his role in what happened. Instead, he spends almost the entire book trying to, quote-unquote, right his mistake by killing the monster. And so it's a very tragic story. And I would say it really only became known as a horror story when they made the movie with Boris Karloff, where the monster was definitely portrayed as a monster, as this horrifying being that could not be reasoned with and would kill anything in its path, and the only way to stop it was to destroy it. Um, so those are my thoughts on Frankenstein and on Mary Shelley, and I happen to know that one of our Happy Hobbit hosts, Feely, um, is a big fan of Frankenstein. We've talked about it a few times. Um, so yeah, so staying in horror, I'd like to bring up another influential female writer who most people seem to have a love-hate relationship with, and that is Anne Rice. I'm sure that many people in the chat here or watching in the archive later have probably read Anne Rice at some point in their lives. Probably her vampire novel, since that's what she's best known for, and that's what I'm going to focus on. And when I say there's a love-hate relationship with her, it's because she almost single-handedly recreated the idea of the vampire with her book Interview with the Vampire, which was published in, I don't know the exact year, but it's in the 70s, early to mid 70s, I believe, maybe late 70s. Let me, if you will indulge me for a second, I will find out. Oh, yes. Interview with the Vampire was published in 1976. And I think what most people don't realize, because when you think of Anne Rice, you think of the sympathetic vampire, the story of one individual through the ages with lots of flashbacks to the vampire adapting to his life in a different time period. And we see it in so many things these days. We've seen it in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, The Vampire Diaries. It's overdone. They even did it in Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula movie. They're doing it somewhat again in the new Dracula TV series. The idea of the vampire as a romantic lead and a sympathetic dark hero really started with Interview with the Vampire. And it was a very revolutionary idea when it first came out, and that's why people gravitated to it so much, because no one had ever read a vampire story quite like this, where what you had was a vampire who was basically recounting his life and showing genuine regret